Hey everybody, this is your regular reminder that there is no God of the Bible. And I don't mean that in some kind of edgelord, all gods are fairy tales way. What I mean by it is that the Bible presents numerous different and often contradictory conceptualizations of God. There are many different gods of the Bible. And when we talk about the God of the Bible, what we're doing is taking this corpus of texts, which was compartmentalized centuries after all the texts within it were written, by the way. And we're identifying those conceptualizations of God that are going to be most meaningful and useful to us in given sets of circumstances. And we're kind of giving them priority and marginalizing or ignoring the conceptualizations that we don't like. And so in one set of circumstances, we may arrange those conceptualizations so that the God of the Bible appears a certain way. And in another set of circumstances, we may rearrange those conceptualizations so that the God of the Bible appears a different way. And so there is no single God of the Bible. There are numerous different gods of the Bible, and therein lies one of the central reasons that the God of the Bible has dominated for as long as they have. It's precisely because the numerous different conceptualizations allow those divine profiles to be customized to the given set of circumstances and to the rhetorical needs. And so the God of the Bible can be whatever their people need them to be.
A further understanding of this from my perspective would be how the same European Americans or Europeans who facilitated the transatlantic slave trade was able to say that and mold the God of the Bible at that time frame to say that, you know, because you can, Leviticus 25 tells you that you can take the foreigners who do, and the foreigners who are living amongst you and the foreigners who do not live amongst you, and turn them into chattel slavery, that they were able to then justify the Bible and justify that that particular God just says that it is okay for them to live the life and conduct the business to which that they were conducting. But then later on, those descendants of that who were fighting in the abolitionary movement would be able to talk about the kindness of God and the goodness of God, and that everybody is a child of God, when the previous generations taught that this God did not have respect of the African people who did not already believe in him. So God can be molded into whatever format a person desires for that God to be in the same way that a lot of the Old Testament God and some of the New Testament perceptions of this deity can be looked upon in saying that women are no more than property, and that they are not to be touched in certain time frames, and that mode of God places women in a subjugated position. But then the mode of God that is more frequently used today talks about how the women were the first ones that saw Jesus in his transfiguration, that women are to, in the end times, are to become prophets, that they will prophet and they will preach and prophesy. So God today, in a post women's lib movement, can be molded into a God that supports women, whereas God prior to the women's lib movement was a God who told women to be silent in the churches and you should be in submission to your husband or to men. And so that God can be molded however you choose for to identify with God, with basically how you live your culture. And that's one of the biggest things that I talk about, is the fact that God is only God based on the culture that is writing about that God, talking about that God, creating doctrines concerning that God. And that as we change in cultures, that this God is then molded to fit the culture to which we live in, and therefore it has had a long standing, because this God is incredibly malleable to fit any culture based on which parts they pick and choose or mold this God into. Just as even though Jesus talks about maintaining that he didn't come to abolish the law but to fulfill the law, Those in certain religious groups who accept the idea of Jesus will say that they are to still uphold the law. But those who have given into the law, the teachings and doctrines of dispensation, they will say that because he said it is finished, that he came and he fulfilled the law, that they are no longer having to conduct themselves based on the law. So both groups can claim that they are still worshiping the same God, except for the fact that they mold that God to fit whatever narrative that they have already predetermined for their lives. So this God may last longer than most gods have lasted throughout history, because of its ability to be molded to fit whatever modern day culture a person chooses, and whatever cultures within cultures that people chooses, because we have thousands of denominations that believe in this same God of the Bible, and even other religions such as Judaism and Islam, and they have divisions with them that are all claiming the same God, but they have molded this God to fit their current cultural paradigms. So y'all have a great day, and remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.